You doing all right?
Yeah, we got audio.
Hello. All right, cool. So, hello everybody. Welcome to the ninth installment of the Power Hour on the Shed community on the Mixer platform. Having fun. I'm your host, POW Warpig, and I got my special guest tonight, Mabus Bloom, Real Caustic, Lawrence. You guys are all fantastic. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves first, and we'll get into some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So, Mab, why don't you kick it off?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mavis Bloom, partner streamer here in Mixer, proud member of the Shed. That's basically all I got. I want to keep it short and sweet because I want to start talking about the game.
Caustic?
All right, yeah, I also want to keep it short and sweet. Hello, everybody. My name is Real Caustic, host of the All Things Coming Up Caustic over on mixer.com/Real Caustic. I am not a Mixer partner. However, I'm one of the admins here for the Shed. So, hello, welcome, strap in, and we're going to have a good time tonight talking about AfterCharge.
Oh, yeah. Lawrence, sir, thank you so much for coming in and doing this with us tonight. This game is fantastic. Go ahead and
Thank
tell
you.
everybody what you're all about, where you're from.
All right, so I'm Laurent Mercure. I'm a communications manager at ChainsAwesomeGames, working on AfterCharge, the game you've just seen the trailer of. I'm from Quebec City, so my first language is French, so that's the accent you can kind of hear through my voice. Glad to be here.
Fantastic.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So the trailer I got to see, we've been talking for the last like half hour. We probably almost wore them out already on questions and topics, but we got an hour to kill and do this. And I hope everybody here that you'll check this game out because it's definitely 100% worth it. I saw this trailer about a couple days before PAX. It was posted in our Discord, our team Discord for the Shed by Mavis Bloom, and I was like, man, this looks interesting. This 3v3 Invincible versus Invincible. Okay, I'm in. Let's check this out. I like the graphics. And then I got to PAX. It was like in the first 3 booths I hit. And I got to play a couple rounds with Lawrence, and we won every round because we're
Good job.
awesome.
Stacked team.
Stacked. It was stacked.
Yeah.
And then I walked away from the booth going, man, I want to play this more. It was a good feeling. It was, it was like, wow, I only got a few minutes. And then they had the play test. So let's go into that. Let's talk about your reception and everything that happened at PAX regarding this game and how that went for you guys as a team.
Well, it wasn't our first PAX for AfterCharge. It was actually our third PAX. Yeah, PAX East, then PAX South, then PAX East again. The feedback is amazing. The game, the people are liking the game a lot. I think we have an appealing setup, so people are like, oh, what is this huge booth in the indie section with like esports chairs and stuff like that? So I think people we catch the eye of people, and then when we give them the pitch, usually they are already hooked. Um, when they play, usually they all love it. Um, and we use this pack specifically to promote our playtests, which happened the following Saturday. So a lot of people were super excited to hear that they could play more, which is
Mhm.
again a very good sign for us. So the event went fantastic, and we were happy to be showing some more content because the last time we showed the game was there was only one map, limited amount of characters. So now we're starting to have more content, and you can kind of see the depth of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
it was a great show. A great show.
Awesome. Well, congrats on having a good showing at PAX and hopefully continue to keep having really good showcases and stuff. The game, it doesn't need much help. It speaks for itself. What thought process did you guys all come together to come up with this game? What happened that sparked this is what you wanted?
Well, there's no huge process that made AfterCharge become, for one very good reason. AfterCharge is kind of the evolution of a prototype the team made during a game jam. So
Oh, nice.
game jams, very short amount of time. You have to rush in and make a game. So it was made was called Electric Panic back at that time during that prototype. Was made in 48 hours. So there's not a lot of time you can spend of coming up with an idea. So basically, it is just the story of our game designer David, who was actually playing a lot of Evolve at that time. Evolve, yeah,
Oh,
the asymmetrical game with monsters and hunters.
I,
So he was playing
yeah.
that. So he wanted to kind of try to make a Evolve that was a little bit more team focused and a little bit less unbalanced. So basically, that was it. That was enough to spark the beginning of that prototype. And then after that, we it was very different. It was I should try and find you the link maybe later in the show. It was top down and 2D. So
Oh,
not it was not a
interesting.
FPS and 3D. It was top down and 2D, but the mechanics were the same. An invisible team with the goal of destroying what we called generators at that point. And the other team had to stop them from doing that. So it was the same idea. And when we decided to put the game in real production, we wanted to see if the fun stayed if we keep the same mechanic in a very different environment. And the conclusion was yes, it still works and it's even better. So we started working on that after that. So we didn't think a lot about the initial idea because we didn't have time to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. How large is the team that worked on this?
Now we're 9. When we started development of AfterCharge, like roughly 2 years ago, we were only 6. And right before that, if you were rewind 2 months, they were only 2, 3. Sorry, 3. So the entire team of ChainsAwesomeGames went from 3 to 9 in about 2 years.
Does
So
everybody work together in the same room, or
yeah,
are you
we have
kind of co-located in different
no,
places?
we have one room. We're a
Okay.
one room studio.
And I have
Man.
to say, as you mentioned, Evolve, as somebody who has put over 1,000 hours in that game when it was out, now I know why I like this game so much.
Yeah, well, if I like asymmetrical gameplay,
Yes,
taken to kind of another level,
yes,
because right now I think nowadays like shooters like Overwatch are even considered asymmetrical because at some point you play attack and then defense. I don't think the tag really works on these kind of games. So we're really doing an asymmetrical game in the sense that the two sides really play differently. So yeah, if you like Evolved, you should like AfterCharge. It,
Mhm.
it should be normal process.
Awesome. Um, so I'm sure this topic's gonna kind of like get hit more than once. We're gonna probably revisit it a few times, but the because it's obvious like what's the plan for launch and when? Because I'm sure there's going to be curiosity in that department, but there's a lot of things you guys have planned that you can't talk about, but you're going to constantly keep saying that's something for launch, that's something for launch. So,
Yeah,
but is anything regarding that you can speak of?
yeah. Well, our what we can speak of is that our launch is planned for this summer on PC, on Xbox One, and on Nintendo Switch. We should there see the use of the word should be able to launch all 3 platforms on the first day, but that's to be determined. We have never launched a Nintendo Switch game, so we might stumble on surprises.
Mhm.
We plan on releasing with already all of the features you might expect from a competitive game. So a ranking system, a spectator mode. Um, we'll actually be running online tournaments for the game very shortly after launch. We're already in talks with the company that manages online esport tournaments, so that should happen right at launch. In terms of content, well, from what you've seen in the playtest, we'll have more maps and more characters. But the
Ooh.
idea is that once we launch, um, we're gonna keep adding more content. We're a one project studio, so once we launch AfterCharge, we're not moving on to another project. We have only one project, so we'll keep working on that game until it's no longer viable. So more content, um, more maps, more characters, maybe game modes. We don't know. As we'll see what the community wants and what makes sense.
So a lot of the community members today, when we talk about these types of games, look towards customization of the individual characters. Is that something that your team has planned going forward?
Yeah, well, actually, of course, we'll have servers to pay for, so we'll have some customization that will be purchasable as in-game items, but only cosmetic. So, of course, each of the characters will have different skins they can equip, but also uh, different illuminations that for someone who have never played, they might not understand what I'm talking about. But well, when you you pick your character and your skin, you can also pick your color of illumination. And the illumination is actually what drives the color of all your abilities. For example, if you choose orange illumination color, well, your character is going to glow orange, is going to shoot orange, his abilities are going to be orange and stuff like that. So you can customize kind of in two ways. You select your skin and then your color.
Hmm. Are you worried at all about like, is it going to be a team-based color thing, or just individually?
Individually. If a
Hmm.
team or an organized team wants to all pick the same color to be like we're team pink and stuff, well, good for them. But you're gonna pick your own color depending of what color you wanna use your abilities with,
Have you
and
guys
these
already
will be
considered?
unlockable.
Oh, gotcha. Have you considered that affecting the competitive environment? Like,
Like certain colors would be easier to see or something like that.
well, that and also being just like what's distinguishable, who's in my teammate, who's not. You know, sometimes it's easier to see if you're red versus blue. It's easier to see blue
In
and
yeah,
know
what
that's your safe haven versus the red. You know.
well, in our case it doesn't really apply because the two teams are so different in 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 their looks and their abilities and stuff. You don't have the two same characters on the two sides because one side is always robots and the other side is enforcers. So you cannot really mix the two.
Fair enough.
You know what a robot is and you know what an enforcer is. If it shoots laser and you're shooting laser, he's on your team.
If lasers are getting shot, you know who it
There,
Yeah,
is.
eh,
exactly.
yeah.
Um, are we going to see a flat price for the game, or is this going to be just like a microtransaction situation and just pay as we go and play it, or what are
It's
you
going to be a
looking at?
premium game. That surprises a couple of people, so I think it comes with an explanation. The
Sure.
studio team, what we have is just we don't have the expertise to run a free to play game, so we go with what we know. So it's going to be well, I'd say low priced premium game. We're aiming around $20, and then for that price, you get access to everything, every characters, every maps. There's no gameplay content that is behind paywall. The only thing that will be behind paywalls are skins. So
Nice, nice.
in that way, we feel that we're not keeping content away from people, important content away from people,
Hmm.
and that's something that we can manage better. Because running a free-to-play game when you're a 9 people studio who has no expertise in monetization and free-to-play, it could crash and burn horribly in
Mm.
many
Yeah,
ways. So we don't want to take that risk, but it's not impossible that one day in the future, we might switch to free-to-play. That's these are the kind of things that happen, but it's really not in our plans in the beginning.
gotcha. See, I feel like $25 is more than fair for this. I easily will put the money out on the table for it. I thought it was worth the price. The replay value in it, it's highly addictive. It's just there's something about it, the way it meshes right now. It's you can't you step away and you want to go back. No matter me and Mavo had God, how many times did we get salty, losing, getting our butts whooped, and we still were
Yeah,
just like,
it's
all right, let's go again. Let's do it
yeah.
again. You know,
Well, I'll admit, it is a multiplayer game. There was some salt during the playtest. I'm
Of
not gonna. I
course,
mean, but that's what keeps you coming back. Is you want to. I mean, if it was an easy game, you'd get bored with it.
of
But it
course.
definitely seems like the kind of game that it's very easy to pick up, but it seems like it's gonna be very, very difficult to master.
That's exactly what we're aiming for. It's hard to master as a team. We
Yeah.
want a game that is about making strategies as a team
Mhm.
and trying different approach and find out new strategies while playing. This is our replay value is pretty much that. Is discover the whole depth of our game.
Now, based on your play tests you've had so far, have you started to see some of those approaches to the game and some of those strategies that you weren't expecting from
Oh yeah.
players?
Oh well, definitely. Yeah, a couple of strategies that we were not. Well, we have not designed a game for that, so we're
Mm-hmm.
definitely trying to find solutions around that. One of them being the revive train. So maybe you have been the victim of it.
Yes.
It should be a good strategy. So having the three robots all hang together and just spam the revive and stay together and just break the extractors one by one as moving as a team. It just shouldn't be a strategy, especially when it involves punching the enforcers away. It's not a game about that. It
Mhm.
should be about stealth infiltration. So we have to tweak the mechanics. We already have some ideas for to make it impossible for that strategy to work, but also keep the fun in instantly reviving your allies. So what we'll be testing in our next playtest will be an actual, um, not a cooldown on the ability of reviving, but a cooldown on when you're down. You cannot be immediately revived. I think it's going to be a quite short. I think it's a
Hmm.
2 seconds period after you die. You cannot be revived for 2 seconds. So this is enough to
Yeah.
stop the revive train.
Yeah.
So that's
We
something
pulled some.
we'll try.
Yeah, we were pulling some slick moves with that revive because I mean you could pretty much the three players could rush the last node to take out the um shit, I can't think of what they're
The
called again.
extractor.
The extractors. And you could just basically bum rush it and just start hitting it. And if people died, you could just spam the key to get them back up and rezzed. And it was almost like a win every time if you did that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. It's good. And what was the other one that I saw? It was the bubble shield. Did you
Yeah.
guys see anything with that bubble shield? That are you going to change that up at all?
Yeah. Well, it's already in our plan. We have a couple of
Or?
bullet list of things that we'll try, but gameplay things we can try them a little bit at the studio, but we're settling on some things that we'll try next time.
Mhm.
And yes, the
Gotcha.
bubbles from bubble is gonna get a little bit of a nerf in terms of amount of HP it can take to kill. So
Hmm.
that's getting a nerf. And
Yeah.
what's the hardest part of our game of balancing our game is the fact that people don't agree. Let's put it was
Oh,
the same thing
Oh
in
yeah.
every
Yeah.
play test. In every play test, we always add the two sides saying that the other side was too powerful.
yep. That
Hmm.
happens
So
in every game.
that's
Yeah.
rough. But we understand how it happens. It's because of the skill gap.
Yeah.
So beginners find that the enforcers are too strong because they're not uh, they don't have enough practice with Workonics, so they feel
Hmm.
like underpowered. And then when you get the hang of the game, it shifts, and it's actually the Workonics that are more powerful. So we need to find where we want the balance to be, but we definitely don't want the Workonics to be winning all the time. So that needs to be fixed. So that's going to be a big balancing challenge. Not one we were expecting. We were kind of expecting to have comments shift one side and then on the other side and trying to balancing out. When we have the two sides saying the other side is too powerful, where do we start? So we
Yeah.
start by tweaking some mechanics that were irritating. So yeah, it's going to be hard to
I
achieve,
guess
but it's
I
going to
guess
be fun.
that's just like trying to you're just trying to recognize like where they're complaining, and is that more
Yeah,
so a skill gap rather than just the actual mechanics of the game, which kind of leads into my next question of like, do you guys have an idea on how your MMR brackets are going to work, or the size of the brackets? Examples like 2300 plays no higher than 2800, etc. Because I mean we were at 2500 playing 4K, And obviously, with the player base and a play test, it's not the pool isn't as large, so
No.
it's not a big deal. But like, do you have plans for that situation?
We have plans for that, but we don't. I don't know the details for it. It's gonna come down the road, probably around July, that we'll be finalizing it. But in some of the things, we do take strong inspiration in games that we know and play,
Hmm.
because it doesn't hurt to copy a thing that is not the core gameplay. So this will take a lot of inspiration of what Overwatch is doing, because we do play a lot of Overwatch. So we have enough expertise in how the system works. So we're gonna see how they do it, and it's gonna look the same pretty much, because it works well, and that's what people are used to.
So
But
are you
right now,
thinking that? Oh,
we
sorry.
don't
Go
know
ahead.
exactly the details what will be
Gotcha.
uh, the ranking system and MMR. It was
So are
really a
you think
placeholder.
right? Are you thinking of maybe going with kind of like what Overwatch did with the competitive versus casual, like maybe having like a competitive ladder tree where competitive players are going to play competitive players and then casual players can kind of play in like a quick match sort of thing?
Yeah,
Or are you
yeah,
focusing more on just
it's already in there. The
okay,
there we're just finalizing the UI, but yes, well that will be, of course. We know there's a risk in doing that. We're splitting the player base, but we're confident that we'll have just enough for two game modes. So we'll have the quick play, which is pretty much what you've played during the playtest. So, uh, but you had MMR. So strip away the MMR. The quick play is going to be you play one side, you win. You play the other side, you win or you lose, and that's it. You can get out of it and continue. The competitive mode though is gonna have a ranking system, and it's gonna have, I wouldn't say a totally different game mode, but a different pointing system. How it's gonna work is we've tested out in a tournament in Montreal last December. So the teams will be playing against each other and switch sides twice. So you will be,
Hmm.
as a team, you will be playing robots, and then you will be playing enforcers, and then going back to robots, and then back again at enforcers. And at the end of these 4 rounds, the winning team is going to be the team who destroyed the most extractors. So
Okay.
kind of like
okay,
baseball. At one point you make
Yeah.
points, and
Yeah.
then at when it's not your turn to make points, you gotta prevent points from being made. So that's why um, uh, the balancing is going to be more about each of the characters between each other and not the sides, because the teams will be playing the two sides
right.
all the time.
Okay. Um, so for those that are either just coming in or not aware of what's going on in here and they're just stopping in, we're talking about a game called AfterCharge, and it's friggin' awesome. So we're gonna keep talking about it. Um,
All right, that's good
why don't
summary.
we? Yeah, why don't we? I think we should discuss about the characters that are in the game, so people have a little better understanding of what they do and the significance of each one and stuff. So you can start, or it's on whichever side you want, invincible or invisible.
All right, so I'll go. The easiest to talk about is the side of the enforcers, because it's a little bit more familiar. People are used to play shooters with characters that have different abilities. So right now, in our character pool, we have 4 different enforcers with I would say different roles, but you can pretty much play them however you like. So we have the first one we've developed was Striker. So Striker is our vanilla character. He's got a grenade and an airstrike. He's a very basic guy. He can send a grenade that reveals, doesn't deal any damage, but reveals an area. And the airstrike does enormous damage after a short delay. So he's about zone controlling. Then we have Liquidator, the second character we developed. He's more about chasing down the robots. So he's got a tracker shot. Like he can shoot. Uh, Once he managed to put a tracker on a robot, he can shoot guided bullets to that robot from anywhere on the map. Really useful to keep some robots in check. And he's got
Highly
also
annoying.
very annoying, but
Yeah.
it's kind of our hardest character to kind of master.
Mhm.
And he's also got mines he can place on the map to kind of have a good idea of where the robots are coming from. And then we have Builder, who is our most support character. So he's got a shotgun, very, very close range. We cannot do anything in long range. And he can place walls to kind of block off some sections, and a recharge station, um, which is used by his allies to recharge their weapons and abilities. And then lastly, we have Huntress, which she's our most ranged character. She's got a very, very powerful gun. She's not a sniper, but she's got a very powerful gun. A little robot drone she can send to follow the Workonics when they were revealed, and actually take away from them charges that they need to use for the abilities. And then she has traps.
Those
Very,
traps are nasty.
very
Yeah, they are
powerful traps.
very nasty
Yeah.
traps.
I had a hard time. I couldn't hit very well with the rifle, but
Yeah.
the traps did so much work that it kind of gives you, even if you're a noob with it, a little bit of leeway to play around and practice.
Yeah, well, I'm not very good with Huntress either. So, or shooting is hard to master because I think there's a valid reason to that. Because we
Mhm.
do not have any characters in AfterCharge that are hit scan. There's
Mhm.
always a projectile and a travel time. And I think people are expecting with such a big gun that kind of looks like a sniper, but it's not a sniper,
Right.
that it's
Mhm.
going to be instant. But there's a travel
Yeah.
time. So I
Yep.
think that's why it kind of screws up with your brain. And I've had some issue with playing her, but we've seen very, very good Huntress players during the playtest, so I'm not really scared that the design is
Yeah.
That was one of the
lacking.
things that I was getting salty out of the playtest was if I was playing the Workonics and I was just getting destroyed by a Huntress player, I was yelling like, "Why can't I do that with her?
Because
Like,
there's
why
also some,
can't I do that?"
He
yeah,
was too.
and her gun is extremely lethal for two reasons. It deals 50 damage, so that's half the HP of a Workonic, but also it reveals for like a second and a half. So when you manage to get a shot on an enforcer on a Workonic, sorry, I'm messing these up today. Um, you have enough time to shoot a second shot. So it's when you manage to master her shooting, she's extremely deadly. So it's really important in your team composition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think my biggest mistake was playing, and again, this is on the PAX floor, is I picked Huntress after
Oh,
not
that's
having
your
even touched
excuse.
the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my excuse.
she's not a beginner character.
No, not at all.
Hmm.
So
And then yeah,
And
we
then,
have different characters on the Workonics. You want me to jump on that first, or talk about the different characters on the Enforcer?
yeah, let's do the other characters.
All right. So on the Workonic sides, it's a little bit different. So we initially, that's a long time ago, when we started the development of AfterCharge, there were no classes on the Workonic side. There was only bubbles.
ooh,
That's
Okay.
how
ooh.
we imagined the game at first, but then because the characters are we're playing as a Workonic is so different from other games, we kind of didn't want to mess up people with adding more abilities to the stuff, so we added um but then we changed mind. Of course, at some point we said it's completely unbalanced, it's not fun not being able to pick a different Workonic, so we just gave one special ability to each of the Workonic, so they play mostly the same, but their ability is really core to how they play. We feel it's different enough, so they don't need like a different weapon and four different abilities. So they each have one unique ability. So you have Bubbles, whose ability is a protective dome. He can summon, and it's impenetrable by anything but Workonics. So any bullets are gonna bump into it, and enforcers cannot walk through it. So they need to shoot it down. And then the
Mhm.
design, the second we designed is glitch. His ability is to destroy devices. So anything that is created by enforcers, such as mines, walls, recharge stations, anything of the kind, he has the ability to destroy all of them. And then we have Cyclops. His ability is a blinding laser, so it pushes away uh, the target and also makes it blind. So it's not completely blinded. It's just he cannot see Workonics even though he should. For example, if a
Yeah.
Workonic is hit by a reveal grenade, would normally the enforcer should be able to see it, but a blinded enforcer is not going to be able to see Workonics in any situation. Even if the Workonic is just right beside him, punching an extractor, he's not going to be able to see it. So very useful to kind of confuse an enforcer.
He
And
was
then
my
Yeah.
yeah. He was my
uh,
favorite.
yeah, he's good because of course the abilities of the Workonics have no cooldown. So
Hmm.
you've played it, you know why, and there's a mechanic to building up your charges and stuff. But your laser, you can use it like crazy, and that's how I think Cyclops is best played. When you don't stack up your charges too much, you just use them often.
Hmm. Yep.
And
Yeah.
lastly, we have Turbo, the last one we
Oh God.
added to the mix.
That's my
So
favorite.
yeah, so his ability is a speed boost, so it goes really fast. That's simple to explain. He's got a speed
Yeah.
boost. He goes fast.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I like the approach to the game. At first, it seems like, for example, like bubbles. Somebody You pick bubbles and you instantly think like, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna smash this thing. I'm gonna drop this protective barrier on myself, and so I can just break this pylon and move on to the next. And it's like, that sounds great. It's like, oh yeah, I can't get hit while I'm doing it. But what's even better is when you start to realize that you can stealth up and run up behind, like, say, two, and drop the dome on them and they can't get out of it.
Yeah,
And then you have everybody on the team can go around and break these things. And it's like, there's just so much more. There is a depth to like coming up with an idea and thinking out of the box and playing with the different skill sets and even comboing some of the abilities out. We had some matchups where, Maba would use Cyclops and blast somebody off a platform, and then they would land out and I'd drop a dome on them, and now they were stuck way out of
yeah,
play. So
that's good.
it's great. I mean, just
Hmm.
there's a lot of good plays that can happen, which is why I know Caustic's like one of the shoutcasters we have in the shed team that's just fantastic, and he's really looking forward to seeing this game have that side of play of like a comp scene that we can take advantage of it and do shoutcasting and some real good matchups, because the action gets it. Let's say the rounds weren't that long, right? I mean, on
No,
average.
average is 4 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say about
Yeah.
4 or 5 minutes. We did
Yeah.
have a few of them that like
Oh yeah,
Turbo.
yeah.
Turbo would be out there by himself and he
Yep.
would run in and get somebody up and then boost out. And it's just like,
He's
oh, just
hard to catch.
yeah.
He's really
oh
hard
man.
to catch.
Yeah.
And that's
Um,
actually a perfect amount of time too for a shoutcast game. If you can do, if you can do like a best out of 5, and each match is only about 4 minutes, it gives the shoutcaster enough time to fill up on water and maybe gargle some lemon juice or something to get the throw back.
but
Because I'm envisioning this game is going to be full of a lot of crazy, crazy moments. And I think that was one of the key things that I was looking forward to, is just actually getting in and, and having spectator mode and being able to set up the scene and talk about the different strategies. And then just once the action hits, it's just boom, right in the face, and it's just away you go for 4 minutes, and then by the end of it, the shoutcaster and all the players are just sitting there sweating. And I thought
yeah,
that was it was like, that's what was going through my mind when I was playing last weekend. It was just like I could really see the touch points that I really liked, that I thought would make this a really fun game, even just to spectate. And I think that's one
Mhm.
of the things where I think you guys are going to really find a really good niche. And the fact that you're going to have this cross platform play where you're going to be able to keep that community going, regardless if one platform is slowing down over another, it becomes agnostic for tournaments and for shoutcasting, because you're always going to have that player base there. And so I think that's really exciting, and I like that.
yeah. So if you're interested in kind of taking a peek at what AfterCharge's shoutcasting and like official tournament could be, we actually, I think I mentioned it before stream. We ran a first test run of what an AfterCharge tournament could be in Montreal in last December. So it's actually up on YouTube. So I don't know if I
Ooh.
could send you the paste you the link in the chat.
Yeah, or if you have one of the community members that has the link, just ask any of the mods for permission, and we'll throw the link in chat for people to take a look.
There we go.
I think
All right.
Lightning's just done it right there. So
Found it.
yeah, so if you guys want to see what the shoutcasting looks like for this game, go and check that link out on YouTube.
It's actually me shoutcasting for the very first time.
Oh, how was that?
Is
It was
it in French?
amazing. No, it's in English. It's in English.
Oh.
It was a mostly French event, but since we knew it was streamed and stuff, so we shoutcasted in English. So it
I
was
was
really
just gonna say hockey sounds always more exciting when it's done in French, so I can only imagine what this sounds like in French.
yeah, but you'll see. I think that when the stream is done, I'll encourage you to go look at it. So yes, we do have the intention to build a game that's very competitive. So there's a lot of strategy involved, and yeah, people will find new things to try as a team, and I think it's a perfect format for that.
Now, you've spoken about the 8 characters you currently have. You do say you have more characters that you're developing.
Yeah.
What is your approach to when you develop those characters? Are you going for more of like a rock, paper, scissors, where you're developing a Workonic and an Enforcer that kind of balance each other
Go
out?
each other, yeah, a little bit.
Or is that, or do you go like for a more like overall balanced approach?
No, it's pretty much like finding what. Well, it may sound really cheesy, but at first it's to find the fun. So
Yep.
it's to find a character that's fun to play, and then see how we can adapt it so it fits what's missing in our roster. So if we find one mechanic that we just have an idea, oh, that mechanic would be super fun. Let's find a way to make it work, to create a full character out of it. So what's good? What kind of gun that we don't have that would be like kind of complementary? What kind of ability that could be useful and countered or not countered by the Workonics? And yeah, so I cannot really give you the details because we do talk it a lot over at the studio, and we have discussion about it. But the ideas all come from one person, our game designer. So he comes up with the idea and we validate. But how he comes up with those ideas, gosh, I don't know. We actually, I like to say all the time not to give him too much credit because, well, it would be very a heavy load to bear. But he's making the fun out of the game. So there's one person making the fun of that game, and it's our game designer David, because all the gameplay decisions are all made pretty much by him. He's all doing that and programming it at the same time. So everything other than that around it is made by the rest of the team. But
So
the gameplay itself is him.
Is he the one responsible for the most trolly part of the game, which is the pushing of the Workonics when they're down with
Oh
that
my
really
God,
goofy
yes.
music? Because that I appreciate that more than you could possibly imagine, but it is so annoying.
Yeah, there's nothing better than seeing 2 of the robots together behind a whole bunch of shields, and there's no way to get to them.
And you can just hear like not only can they hear the music, when you get close enough, you can hear the music too, and it's that really like just trolly elevator music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it is beautiful.
It's a fun story because that would be one of the mechanics he didn't design because it was not on purpose. We found that while doing some tests that just based on the engine and how the engine works, while they found that 2 colliding objects, well, they would move each other. That's it. And then when we tried it and we said, hey, look at that, we can actually push the dead robots. And our first thought was, oh, it's a bug. And then no, it's a feature.
Yeah.
And now the rest of the game is I wouldn't say balance around it, but a little bit, because we just enforcers could not win without body pushing.
Mm-hmm.
If you play against Workonics that know what they're doing, if you cannot move their bodies to kind of control a little bit of how they position themselves, it's going to be impossible to win. So
Yeah.
we kept it. We tweaked it a little bit because initially there were no movement um, decrease by pushing dead robots. So you would go full speed pushing those robots. That didn't work. So we added uh, a little bit of a debuff on your speed when you're pushing a robot.
It's
But it's a good
trolly, but
mechanic.
it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. We're
Yeah.
not taking it away.
It's so demoralizing though to be down though, and just have somebody pushing you,
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do about it.
But you can tell the rest of your team they're pushing me in that
Oh,
direction.
oh, I told Pow and Caustic like very loudly,
Yeah.
pushing
And-
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're way
I
on the
heard
other
it.
side of the map, and there's nothing that we can do to get to him.
You know, pushes you in a corner and puts a wall on you, and then I did notice one thing: the builder, the walls didn't necessarily have to go on the ground; they could go on a wall, and then they would come almost like make like a roof over the top.
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, you can place you can place walls, mines, recharge stations, traps. You can place them pretty much everywhere.
Okay, so was that something that was similar to the pushing, just kind of a part of the engine itself, or was that an
No, that
actual
was on
design
purpose.
decision?
Yeah,
a
it was
design.
on purpose to have it. So for example, you can put you can create some kind of roof, but you can also create using, for example, the traps from the Huntress. You can place traps at unexpected places
Mhm.
that are not on the floor, and then when the robot comes in, it has no idea. So that was part of the idea.
And you said, Mom just said how demoralizing it is to be being pushed around. And you mentioned earlier some taunts and stuff are coming too.
Yeah, well, this is
Right,
a
yeah,
news from
so-
from today. It's a feedback that we got from the community playtest. So
man.
we borrowed a 3D animator from a very close to us studio, our neighbors. So we borrowed him. He's a very good 3D animator. He made all the little animations on the characters when you select them.
Okay.
So we already worked with us a little bit. So now he's going to be looking at what we can do as emotes for enforcers that you can use, yes, to taunt the Warconics, because there's a lot of since there's a huge part of infiltration in the game, there's a huge part of the game where as enforcers you kind of don't know where the Warconics are coming from. So we can have taunts like "come at me" and or "I can see you" or things like that. We'll try to find solutions, but now we have a full-time resource on that. We'll start working on those emotes. That's for enforcers. We have another idea for Workonics in terms of customization, because emotes wouldn't be that interesting because the enemy team cannot see you.
Yeah.
Or we could have emotes that actually reveals you, but people wouldn't be using that
Yeah.
at all. That would
I,
be stupid.
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of funny to be invisible, standing behind somebody and just wiggling your robot hips or something. Just
But yeah,
you
well,
know.
your teammates could see you, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you could see
Gyro.
yourself, I guess. if if it's good for you, I guess it could be a feature. But right now for launch, I don't think we'll have emotes for lower conics in the small window of time that we got left to release this summer. We'll push as much emotes as we can, but on the enforcer side.
So take
After-
us through your strategy going through between now and the summer. What are your plans? You plan additional play tests? Do you plan a beta period? Like, what are you guys thinking? Because we're getting quite close, right? We're
Yeah.
almost the end of April. We got a few months left to
Yeah.
go.
The production team right now is really stressed out. It's kind of the beginning of the last. I know it sounds weird because we're still in April and we're aiming to launch somewhere this summer. Should probably slip around the end of summer or around that area. So it's a lot of work that needs to be done right now if we want to meet criteria for the consoles. The console certification it's a long process. So the game needs to be pretty much done very soon. Um, and on my side, so testing with the community, it's gonna be rough finding a date for the next playtest because it requires a lot of work from the production team to run a playtest like that. They need to kind of stop working on features and polishing instead, and preparing the servers and all of that back end thing that I don't understand at all. They have to do that for about a week. So what they've told me is that we don't know when we'll be able to do the next playtest. Talk to me about it later. So we'll talk about it later. But my plan would be to have at least one other alpha playtest before we jump on a beta playtest, which should be very, very close to launch. I'm expecting that the beta, the closed beta with keys, I'll have a ton of keys to give away, but we want to keep it closed. Should be in July, somewhere in July, early July, mid July, I don't know. Somewhere in July, that which would be close to launch. And for our next alpha playtest, I honestly have no idea. I would like it to be like in 2 weeks, but it's not gonna happen. It's gonna be pushed later. But other than that, other than playtests,
What do I got to do? Well, I got to send you guys extra coffee, like. What?
now it's much more complicated than
I
that,
know,
and
I know.
it hurts me as much as it hurts you, because I would love for people to play more. We gotta respect that the team is working
Oh,
Yeah.
freaking
absolutely.
hard these
Yeah.
days on those deadlines set by us. We don't have a publisher.
Yeah.
We have set
Well,
deadlines for us because we do want to release. That's something that's very important for us. We want to release, and that's actually a marketing call from myself. We want to release before fall, because
Yeah.
fall is where indie games go to die, because
Yes.
fall is for AAA games. We
Yeah.
want to have our hype, our big launch push needs to happen somewhere this summer. So that's why we're rushing in those things right now. But in terms of marketing, other than the playtest, we still have a couple of things ahead of us, like E3. We'll be going
Mhm.
to E3 to
Mhm.
show the game again to press, trying to get some big names out of that. We got press from a couple of outlets, but we're missing like IGN or GameSpot or really big names that have not covered us. So we kind of want to tell them, hey, look at our game. So E3 it is for us. It's going to be mid June, and then most probably post launch. Uh, yeah, definitely post launch. We have PAX West, which is in Seattle.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's going
A
to
lot
be
of
our
us will be there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be
A
our
lot of
biggest
us are going to be at
show.
PAX West. Yeah.
Nice. So we'll see you there. We'll definitely be there. And what other thing? That's another thing that's new from today. So I'd say it's 95% confirmed. But probably know about DreamHack.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
DreamHack is pretty big, and there's a couple of them everywhere in the world. And well, there's DreamHack Montreal, which is the weekend following PAX West. Well, we'll be there with a tournament, a live tournament, but on stage
Ooh.
with like shoutcasting and stuff like that. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, there's going to be the Shed Montreal is going to be there along with some of us folks from Shed Ottawa. So we'll be up for DreamHack. So we'll definitely go
Nice.
and
Well,
check
you
out the
should.
tournament. So we'll be looking
Well,
forward to that.
if you're planning on attending,
Yes,
well,
we will be there.
watch for the team sign up, because we'll need teams to
Yeah,
win
we'll
that
have to get
Montreal
nice. We'll,
Cup.
we'll have to get .nev and Gaming Ray get their AfterCharge game on and their practice in.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what's coming up in terms of marketing, in terms of production. Right now, it's features, features, features. Because what you've played in the last playtest, maybe you have not noticed, but there's a lot of very important things that were in there, such as player progression, inventory, um, a lot of things, game modes, having the quick play and competitive, a lot of
Mhm.
very important features that we just cannot launch without. So they're focusing on that so we can jump into console certification process, and then we should have a bit of a break before launch.
So what? After the playtests and stuff, was there anything in regards to like the characters that kind of shocked you guys that you weren't expecting to see have happen, or it just some people were doing things that you weren't expecting with the
Uh,
characters?
a bit. We were surprised to see how unpopular Builder was. in the
Really?
little survey that we sent, and we're taking a look at him in that sense. I think one of his ability was a little bit bugged, so that might be a reason.
Huh.
You could run into a bug where you would have to place your recharge station before placing a wall because it was mixing things up. But it was a surprise because Builder has been like seen as one of the best characters in the Enforcer team for the previous playtest because his walls are so powerful. But I
Mhm.
think
Hmm.
we've changed enough things for that not to be true anymore because when
Yeah.
we actually played, because we didn't play that much of AfterCharge on that playtest, we were busy doing a ton of other things. But we did play very seriously for like um, 4 matches against a team from our community who call themselves the Overcharged,
Hmm.
and they're really good. They've been playing with us for like 3 playtests. They've done all of the things, so we knew we were going against people who knew their things. And in 3 of the 4 match, the character that was left out was Builder. We didn't pick it. We was not part of our super high end meta. So
So
that was a surprise for us. So we need to balance things out for
Yeah.
this character.
have you started to see those more veteran testers reach that higher level of play you're hoping for?
Definitely, yes, yes. In our previous playtest before April 14, on January 26th, we did play a lot, and that's actually when Overcharge was born, if I'm not mistaken, and they were really trucking us. We didn't have one official match against them, but when we were playing individually, we were just saying at the studio, well, it's to the limit that it's almost no fun playing against them because they're so good. They're kind of exploiting all the weaknesses of our design. They were already doing the revive train at that point, if I'm not mistaken, and other strategies not always reverting to that, but sometimes attacking one extractor as 3 just to destroy it super fast,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
which is a good strategy. So seeing players come up with like strategies we have never thought of is a very good sign for us. It means that they've invested a lot of energy into kind of in their creativity, trying to find
Yeah.
new things to try.
Mhm.
Yep.
And yeah, so yeah, definitely, it doesn't take that long to become an expert in AfterCharge because we've never ran. Well, we did once run a playtest longer than 12 hours, um, but usually they're only 12 hours window. So if you've played AfterCharge a lot, there's still a limit of time you've played already, and already we're seeing super high level of play.
Hmm. Yeah. We got a taste of that, I assure you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
definitely.
tasted salty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't like the
Um,
taste of it.
I like salt. I mean, I know it's
salt.
unpopular, but as I play a lot of competitive game, I don't like toxicity. But salt and toxicity are 2 very different things. I
Yes.
Hmm.
get I get super salty playing a competitive game, but it looks like a negative feeling, but it's actually a very excited feeling of, oh, I wanna play again. I want to play
Yep.
Yeah.
again, and this time I'm
Yes.
gonna win.
Yeah,
And
Yep.
this,
yeah,
of
that
course,
constant
it's
want to want to
the
get
kind of
better.
Yeah.
it's the drive we want players to have.
You sit there and you get salty, like, I'm done with this. And you get up and you walk away for a couple minutes. You're like, I'm not going out like that. Nope. Nope. Let's
Nope,
go.
I'm going back
Exactly.
in. I'm gonna win this time. I mean it.
That's the
Yeah.
feeling we
See,
want to generate in players, of course.
the so Neb asked a question. He said, "Amazing to see lots of things being taken into consideration on the esports side. Which games scene influenced you the most, and favorite player or team?"
Whoa, favorite player team, that would be hard. I actually don't watch enough esports to kind of have my favorite team. I've watched a lot of Rainbow Six Siege esport, um, and after, of course, Overchar. Well, I'm mixing them up. Overwatch, Overwatch esport a lot because I play it. Of course, you usually enjoy more esport of a game that you've played.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the days, I did watch a lot of Counter Strike esports as well when I was playing Counter Strike, and on very different kind of things. I watched a lot of Heroes of the Storm esport because I love the Heroes of the Storm. Even it's a less liked of the MOBAs. I
Yep.
love it. I love it. So these are the ones that we look at. But of course, when we will look at, because we know it's FPS, so we got to consider how FPS are looked at. We look more into Overwatch and Rainbow Six.
Cool. Cool. Um, let's see.
Ha-
And go ahead.
I was going to say, so going back to the high level of play, have you seen some of that higher level play and then maybe changed how you've looked at the game going forward to kind of, embrace that higher level of play? Like maybe you kind of looked at some of the way the game mechanics work, or maybe you also talked about maybe future game modes.
Yeah, right now in terms of game modes, we really want to make sure people understand that we're focusing on the core gameplay, which is really the 3v3, 6 extractors, um, and one side destroys, the other side's defense. We might have other game modes later down the road, but we need to make really sure we have enough players for that, because that would split the player base, which
Right.
is our biggest scare. But in terms of adapting to what the higher level strategy that we've seen, I think the best example is still the revive train. That's something that was not intended. So we fix things when we see that players are not playing the kind of game we want. We want AfterCharge to be very an infiltration game when playing, of course, when playing Warconics. So it's not about going fast into action. It's not about hitting the enforcers that much. So what we've seen that we didn't like was the revive train. We're fixing it because it's too much about direct confrontation and staying as a team. So that is to be changed. And already in the last playtest on January 26th, a lot of people were using bubble to kind of imprison. That's also a strategy that Overcharge did a lot. So use bubbles to imprison enforcers that were out of energy. So an
Oh,
enforcer that's out of energy
Ooh.
cannot get himself out of it. So he needs
Yeah.
his team.
Interesting.
So that breaks the entire team. While it's fun to imprison an enforcer, we don't want it to break the game. So what we did change is that there's a slow decay on the bubbles, because at that
Right.
time there were none. So
gotcha.
the bubbles only disappeared once destroyed. So what happens if you manage to put all 3 enforcers out of energy in bubbles? You
Yeah.
cannot do anything, and they just look at you while you destroy all extractors. That's not the way the game was intended. It's funny. It's funny for the Warconics. They're having a ton of fun, but the enforcers are not having fun at all.
Yeah. I could
And
see that
also
being a
that
little.
strategy implied, uh, well, it needed Warconics to actually punch the enforcers, because it steals a little bit of their energy. So you could actually make them empty by punching them close to a wall. So you can punch and punch again, and then they're empty, and then you bubble them. And that is also something that will removed. When you punch an enforcer, you're not getting energy back, and you're not taking away energy. That encouraged direct confrontation, which is something what we do not want.
Yeah,
It's
it,
not the
Yeah.
game. It's not the game we're making. And when we want Warconics to be punching enforcers when it's like want to punch you down a cliff or something and move you around,
yeah, the
something
separation.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Wow.
Or as a mean of defense. For example, you're getting shot and he's super close. You can punch him away and then go around the corner so he cannot follow you.
I played the builder a ton. Like I think I played him. Him and Bubbles were the two that I played mostly throughout the day, and I'm surprised that you got not very many people using the builder on the enforcer side so much, but because I didn't run into any issues that I knew of. But
Well, that's good.
I the only thing I was saying, like, I just wish that his shotgun was a little bit faster, just because he's so hard to actually take out the um other guys, the invisible guys. Like,
Yeah.
they're there and gone before he can get like sometimes 2 shots off even.
Yeah.
So
And it's really hard for him to aim in anything but very 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 close range.
Yeah.
So we're looking at options to kind of boost him and bring him back into the meta because we have so few characters. We don't want characters that are less picked. We want
Mhm.
characters to be
Mhm.
pretty much evenly picked, if that's possible.
awesome. Um, if anybody in the chat been here chilling the whole time, we appreciate all the support. You have questions and stuff, now's the time to start getting them up, as the power hour is getting close to the end. So get those questions up. Lawrence is here, he's able to answer them if we can get anything
am.
to him now. And then we're going to take this over, and we are going to end up rating somebody's channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. Got a lot of people here, so the spam will be real.
I don't know if you touched on it, Lawrence, at the beginning for people who weren't here. Can you tell them again the plans at launch for the systems it's going to be on and the big announcement as far as the cross-platform is concerned?
Yeah, so we'll be releasing AfterCharge this summer on PC, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, and it's gonna be crossplay between all three platforms. So as a Nintendo Switch player, you can play with PC players and Xbox One players and all the players. So we should again notice the use of the word should be able to launch all three platforms on the first day. Um, but what's absolutely certain, Xbox One and PC is going to be day one. If there's any delay, might be on the Switch, but it should be short delay.
First
So-
question I got up was, can we get the bubble decay rate? They want more stuff for Wiki.
Okay, that's probably goal. It's a community member working very hard on the wiki. I don't know
Hi, Go.
and you probably know because you know the team. I don't know that information, man. Ask if you want the numbers, ask for them on the Discord.
Wait.
I'll get you the answers.
Way to throw him under the bus, Gull.
Yeah.
So Cromhammer has a question. He was, I guess, from a personal opinion, Laurent, what would you say is the best feature that you're most excited about? That's unique to the game.
Well, I think what's the most unique about our game is our no cooldown policy. It's a, I wouldn't say a policy, but it's a design philosophy that none of our ability have cooldowns. So they're all directed from their different authority. For example, enforcers use energy for their abilities. If they have enough energy, they can use their skills as much as they want. And as robots, you can use your ability as much as you want, as long as you have your charges. So it I think it makes it for a very different pacing in the game, and you have more control on it. For example, you can decide as bubbles to spam small bubbles of one charge to kind of create a trail of bubbles. But you can also just charge it up and have one huge 10 charge bubble. So and the revives have no cooldown as well. You can revive your allies instantly, and then there's another ally dying, you revive it. So that's fun, and I think that's one of our most unique mechanic outside of the invisible against invincible part.
I never thought
Mhm.
of doing that with the just like linking bubbles together.
Yeah, you can create kind of a trail of bubbles.
My God, you just blew my mind.
And it's funny too
It's
because that
useful
design
because
philosophy goes really well with what you were saying before about the short games.
Yeah.
Right. By not having those cooldowns, it's just like that's what keeps the action going. Yeah.
and cooldowns. I like I already said, and people from our Discord know I play a lot of Overwatch. So what sometimes really frustrates me is I'm waiting for a cooldown. So I've got this ability. Ultimates don't work that way, but I've got this ability I want to do. I don't know how many seconds I have left. I don't have time to look, but I'm waiting for a cooldown. I'm spamming something until the cooldown is done, and that's waiting for a number, waiting for a counter to drop down. Is not that fun. So we're going no cooldowns.
So, guys, Maba, Caustic, Lawrence, guys, thank you so much for doing the Power Hour,
My pleasure.
being here.
Been a lot of fun.
I
I
had
can't wait to get my hands on the game again.
I am
Yeah.
really looking forward to the game.
Hope it's gonna be short.
Sooner than later, man.
Yeah.
You guys take your time. I don't, I want it, but I want you guys to be comfortable with what you're giving us. It's a fantastic game. I encourage everybody to definitely look this up, hit it up, get involved, get in their Discord. The game's going to be well worth the price tag. And if you like any kind of like a fun competitive environment, this game is definitely going to deliver on that. And it's got replayability for sure, 100%. Be sure to be giving a follow to these gentlemen on Mixer as well. Myself, hit their Twitter pages up. Great streamers. Good time for everyone. Everybody that's tuned in tonight, thank you so much. I wish you a happy week leading into the weekend. Be safe and have a good time. And visit the Shed team. We're here on Mixer and we got a lot of people. We play a lot of games. It's a good time for everybody. We're going to raid and we're going to go raid Mulehorn Gaming. They're in the middle of a podcast as well. It's going to be call tag's going to be power charged.
All right.
So
Spam it away when we get in there, folks. Have a great night, and I'll see you the next time on the next Power Hour.